Very on brand. I am only just now getting close to finishing my first book of my Asian readathon TBR, which full disclosure, I did pick this up like a week ago, but stuff was happening in the book itself on top of me being busy that I was just avoiding. Very similar to Jordelia. I can safely say that I still have not fully recovered from Chain of Iron, so just going through this is not to say that it's bad, because that's not at all what I'm saying. It's just doing a number on me emotionally, and I'm already still in bandages from Chain of Iron, and so it's just making it much worse for me. I'm reading this with the audiobook. I'm actually buddy reading this with a friend of mine because I told her she loves sad stuff. And she was like, Samira, is that the right book for you to start your readathon TBR with? And I was like, probably not. Honestly, I picked it up because it's the shortest out of all of them. So I was like, you know, at least we can bust one out of the way. So I have approximately this much left, which is around like an hour left on the audiobook. So I'm probably just gonna listen to it while reading it physically because much hurt. So I'll update when I finish this and have more thoughts about this book. I'm sad. I have no words other than I have many feelings that are just running rampant in my mind, and I can't quite articulate what's happening. I'm very much feeling a lot of things, and I'm just sort of numb towards them all right now. This was so heart-shattering, but also heartwarming, but also just trauma love. I don't know what rating to give this quite yet. Definitely a 4 or 5 star, maybe like in between. Definitely an interesting start to my TBR for this readathon. Was it the best choice? Probably not. I think going for a light read is the move. I think I might jump to Counting Down with You or These Violent Delights. Not me just dancing over it and not processing, just skipping on to the next semblance of serotonin. Okay, reading update. So I have been juggling between These Violent Delights and the Attack on Titan manga. I am listening to These Violent Delights with an audiobook because for some reason, I don't know if it's just like the current state I'm in right now, or it's an underlying slump since Chain of Iron that I've just been brushing over. But recently, I cannot for the life of me read a physical book without exhausting myself. And I mean that in the sense that picking up a physical book and reading it physically is just so mentally draining and exhausting for me. The other day when I first picked up These Violent Delights, I got 2 pages in before I exhausted myself. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And so thankfully I was able to find an audiobook for this. So I'm going to pair it with the physical book in hopes that it'll help me, because I unintentionally ended up doing that with the Stationery Shop and it actually helped. So I think that's what I'm gonna do for These Violent Delights, but I'm going to attempt to finish half of it today, so that way in the hopes that I can finish up These Violent Delights tomorrow. I've been like flip-flopping between that and the Attack on Titan manga. I've been watching the Attack on Titan anime since I watched it last fall, and I watched the first half of the final season. So they did finally decide on splitting the final season into 2 parts, but they aren't going to release the second part until next year. Until now, I haven't been reading the manga for it. I've just been watching the anime. It's gotten to a point in the show / story that I absolutely do not want to get spoiled for anything whatsoever. Like, the stakes are just too high right now for me to get spoiled. I actually was like, okay, I want to wait until the manga is completed before I decide whether I want to read it or not, before the second installment of the final season comes out. And I think the last chapter, the final chapter, came out at the end of last month. So now it's like I don't have to wait for that, and I now want to finish that up, because since the final season had ended, there was like one particular part in like the first part of the final season I was like, okay, I need answers now. So I think got to where the show had caught up to the manga, and I've been reading the manga since then. And when I tell you, that was way more complicated than I expected it to be, but it was a good decision. I feel like that I decided to pick it up, because at least that way I won't be waiting a whole year. I actually yesterday finished the second to last volume / installment of the manga. Now I'm like officially in the final volume, and I'm so scared because of where things left off in the second to last issue, that I'm just like, I had to put it down yesterday because I could easily finish it in one sitting, but I'm just avoiding it because it's so stressful. I think I'm going to get as far as I can into These Violent Delights, and then I will finish that manga. At this rate, you guys know that I'm such a mood reader. I cannot, as much as I try to, I cannot stick to a fixed TBR, but we are gonna make sure we get those prompts completed. Do not worry, because that will be completed and accomplished, but the means by which we will accomplish that are questionable, but they will be completed. On today's episode of A Working Fangirl, we got our jacket, because we're representing. Also, our jacket, shoes fit. Okay, this is good. Much to process about what occurred last night. When I tell you last night felt like a fever dream, I never once slipped with BTS content, but tell me why this one time I forgot that it was coming out last night. Luckily, I was still awake and on my phone, and I got the notification. I was like, wait, that's tonight? And so like I scrambled. I was a whole mess, because if I had known, I would have recorded my reaction. But since that did not happen, I will simulate the environment, both emotionally and mentally, that I was in.
Oh no, I hope I don't fall. Go, Sean. It's Shimmer.
I'm about to sing a song.
Move! Get out the way! So yeah, it was very much a fever dream. I don't even know what the hell the lyrics were. I was just vibing. Because first of all, can we talk about the visuals? Big hit, you will be getting a bill from my therapist, because what was the reason?
What was the reason?
I just explained the reason.
What was the reason, bitch?
What was the reason to go that hard over a song called freaking Butter. First order of business is the fact that Jungkook, you really did that. JK stans haven't caught a break ever since that man turned 23. Yeah, first of all, the hair, in particular, that one shot of him with the ponytail in the elevator. I replayed that clip, I don't even know how many times, but that was like blow number one for me. Blow number two was the fact that we gotta zoom in so when they dropped the teaser pictures, I zoomed in because naturally you zoom in on the pictures, and I saw this little sparkly thing, 2 sparkly things to be exact, on this man's eyebrow, and I said, are those gem stickers or is that an eyebrow piercing? I was like, surely it's just a stick-on, surely. And then we got zoomed in on that in the music video, and I was like, wait a second. That's looking a little too realistic, a little too 3D to be just a gemstone sticker, sir. So I tried not to think anything of it because there was just too many things for me to process at the moment. So that was blow number 2. Okay, Clown Central, because I was yelling at my friends. I was like, hello, I am speaking from the grave after what I have just witnessed. And then we go on the hell site that is Twitter, and I see, of course, Mans is trending, but then it says that it's eyebrow piercing. I was like, bitch, you're lying to me right now. And so I like I said, last night was very much a fever dream. I could not sleep for a good 2 hours after that music video because I was just processing. But then I wake up this morning and Namjoon had asked Jungkook if it was real or not. He says it's a sticker. All men do is lie. Let's make it clear, we are OT7 in this household. Every single one of them looked like a snack in that music video, as always, but especially in this music video. Pink Namjoon, we got mint chocolate chip Yoongi, we got pastel Jimin, and then don't even get me started on Taehyung. Do not get me started on Taehyung. And then we got Hobie and Jin serving looks as well. Long hair Jin. I will say I did not like the hair color they give Hobie this comeback, but everything else, he made up for that hair color choice. I could not tell you. I did not know a single one of their lyrics, other than I know the fact that it's lyrically more coherent than Dynamite. Dynamite, I don't know what those lyrics were. None of those lyrics made sense. It's like, you know, when you're so used to Google translating their songs and sometimes the translate messes up. That's how Dynamite felt like to me, but it was in English from the get-go. So anyway, they were beating Dynamite like a dead horse. Dynamite, sweetie, I'm so sorry, but Butter came for your ass, and rightfully so, because we needed a new bop this summer. I was like, please y'all, I'm tired. Yes, give me the serotonin, but at the same time, I need something to throw it back to this summer. I'm tired of like the happy-go-lucky stuff, but then Butter came along. Is it still happy-go-lucky? Yes, but we can throw it back to this over the summertime. So yes, hot Vax Girl summer is a go after this song came out. I'll have to listen to it now that I am mostly out of the fog I was in last night. So we gon' listen. Like a criminal undercover, breaking into your heart like that. Cool. Sir, that is how, ladies and gentlemen, he became my bias. They knew! How did they know? My love language is acts of service. Ah! And that, sir, is how you became my bias record. I'm on the last chapter of Attack on Titan and I'm just so freaking stressed out. I don't know what's gonna happen. I've been staring at the last chapter for like 5 minutes. I cannot with the last panel I saw. At first, we're just vibing. Just straight vibes right now. No thoughts, head empty, just vibe. No. Do not tell me. Do not If this is what I think it's gonna be, I'm gonna be so mad. So mad. God, I'm so upset. At least I have a year to recuperate before I have to see this shit animated.
5 minutes later.
You look so fine. Oh. Gee.
Whoa, so that's a no J-Hope. Oh. Go off, Yuki.
Stay forever.
Oh, he looks so fine.
Looks so good.
No, the pink is gone.
I don't like butter.
I think I'm like 60% through these Violent Delights as of right now. It's getting to the point where like they're talking about, first of all, nasty. These parasite things, disgusting. But the fact a scene just happened where I don't know why my brain is like this, but I imagine. Okay, when you play Animal Crossing, you know how some of your villagers sometimes they get fleas, and then you have to like bonk them with your net, and that's how you catch it. Tell me why. That's the imagery that I am thinking of with all this talk of parasites. Why is my brain like this? I was like, y'all just need to get a net and just bonk them, and then that's how you get rid of the parasite. I feel like there has to be a correlation between the parasite and whatever monster is in the river. Front threat are the parasites. But then they keep having like these glimpses of people seeing the monster in the river. So I'm like, what? Is the monster the one that has the fleas, the parasites coming off of it? Very much Animal Crossing, that they need to bonk the monster, that way they just get rid of the parasites. I'm confused. I don't know. I'm just like, every time Roma and Juliet are on the page, I'm just like zoned in on their dynamic. But then like as soon as they leave the page, I'm like, okay, when are we gonna get another interaction? That's what I'm here for. I may regret saying this. Am I supposed to have a big crush, obviously on Roma, but am I supposed to have a big crush on Marshall? Is this who we are? Is this what we stand for?
The comparison of her hair to a maiden.
No! God!
The insects make a mess.
Bitch, what did I tell you?
Not in panic, but in understanding, as if he had been presented with a gift box.
Okay, I have a package that just came. I'm excited. I already opened it. So I have a friend visiting me, which is why I'm not reading as much. RIP. But I did order. Finally, I just went ahead and got it. But I'm so excited. Look at it! It's so pretty! I saw they had sage green, and as of recently, sage green is my favorite color. I was like, I have to get this. So we got this bad boy. Let's open her up. On this episode of buying books to fill the void, I bought 2 books today that I absolutely did not need, but like I said, we're getting serotonin whenever we need. So I got 2 books that I've been thinking about reading recently, and I feel like, you know, it caught my eye when I went into the bookstore. So the first one I got was People We Meet on Vacation. I've been seeing this floating around lately, and I'm like really wanting to read more romances. So I've heard a lot of my mutuals on Twitter talking about this and raving about it. So I was like, you know, being the nosy person I am, I was like, I need to know what the hype is. So I got this, and I also got this thick bad boy, which I have seen as well a few years ago, but this book in particular is one of the books on Namjoon from BTS's reading recommendation list. So I was like, of course, I want to read like Namjoon. So maybe I'll read this for a video in the future. Let me know if you want to see that. But yeah, this book is heavy. I don't even know how many pages does this have. I'm scared. Do I even want to know? Stop it. Well, this might take me a year, but at least we have it. And like I said, even if it's just one book that I read off of his reading list, I'll do this one because it sounds the most intriguing to me. Will this take me a year? Possibly, but like it seems like a high IQ book. And I kind of want to be pretentious for once, being a book reader, so who knows when I'll get around to this. But definitely this would be like a book off of my bucket list, so yep. Excuse the hair. I have less than 20 pages left, and I'm nervous. Well, that was wild. So I think I'm gonna give this like a 4, just because like for like a good 80% of the book I was only there for Roma and Juliet because I was living for their interactions, but other than that I was just like waiting until they interacted next. So but the end maybe like last 20% definitely made up for it, in my opinion. This also, take this with a grain of salt as well, because like I've realized I'm low-key still in a slump, especially in regards to fantasy, that I'm just not in the mood for fantasy, and like it was a struggle for me personally to like get through this, not because of the book itself, but because, like I said, I'm still in a weird place with fantasy right now. So that's why I'm gonna give it a 4-star objectively. But yeah, the ending was wild. I will definitely be reading the sequel to see what's gonna happen with that. Like, I think the funk I'm in kind of like took me out of it a little bit. Again, nothing to do with the book, more so about me. But yeah, solid 4 out of 5.
How may I help you?
Hi, could I have the BTS meal?
The first window.
Thank you. Yeah. Bro, this better be good. Please, y'all, let's manifest this. Let's get the packaging. Come through. Let's go.
Yes, meal.
Yes. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you,
I'm gonna pull over. Whee! Or is this curbside? Let's hope not. Okay. Yo, we got the bag! It's so cute! Okay, we didn't get the cup though, but that's fine. I'm so hungry! Okay, so we got both sauces. I don't know what they're gonna taste like, but I hope they're spicy. Okay, let's see. It's so cute! Okay, let's see. Sweet chili, Cajun. Okay. I have a feeling I like Cajun, but we will see. Bag secured, literally. We're gonna try Cajun first. Okay. It's spicy. Oh, that was good. Dude, this is spicy. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's try sweet chili now. Ooh, sweet chili is spicy too. I mean, obviously, hello. This is good too. Petition for McDonald's to keep these sauces, because these sauces are bomb. Okay, we're gonna try both of them together. I have a feeling this is gonna be good. Okay. But this was a success. What did I expect? This is delicious. I can say now that I have successfully bagged the BTS meal. Mission complete. Also, I'm so sorry. This vlog turned into a whole me exposing myself as a K-pop stan. I'm so sorry. But this is what you get for subscribing to me. Sorry, not sorry, but it's fine, y'all.
I was about to give up on this readathon yesterday because I did start crying in H-Mart physically, but I was like, I just know I'm not mentally strong enough for this book right now, especially like reading it physically. So as of yesterday, I gave up on this readathon because that's the only book left that I needed prompt wise. Other than that, I've basically completed all of the other prompts. But I was like, you know what? It's one book away from completing this readathon, and I'm too stubborn for my own good. So I managed to get the audiobook today, and I was like, you know what? With how depressing it's probably gonna make me, the best way to counterbalance this is to tackle it by doing something that's going to counterbalance the sadness. Like something that like brings me joy. So I'm gonna paint while listening, so that way I can't focus too much on the sadness and I'm just focusing on like the happiness while painting. This is like Cancer energy, me trying to like paint the sad away. Yeah, I was like, well, at least I can listen to it. It's only like 7 hours and I listen double speed, so I most likely could finish this in one sitting, probably like 4.5 hours. So I was like, if I paint while listening to it, the blow to my mental health won't be as bad. So we're gonna see how that goes. finishing my painting right as the audiobook finished, so that was perfect timing on my part. I think that was a good decision to paint while listening to this, because as like the serotonin balance to the sadness from this book, because it successfully prevented me from ugly crying like 3 times. So good job, brain cells, for thinking of that strategy. These ended up turning out way cuter than I thought they would, because my painting skills are rusty. But we're gonna pretend we did not see that dragon egg, because I'm probably gonna paint over it because those scales were looking rough. So let's pretend we did not see. The Hal and Sophie one. The Hal and Sophie one turned out so cute. So this means I have officially completed the Asian readathon of this year. Also a moment in history, because I've never once completed a readathon before, so yay, this is probably the first time I'll complete one, the last time I'll complete one, and probably the last time I'll participate in a readathon, because as a mood reader, that was torture. Okay, so this video is already getting really long, so I just figured I'd just do a really quick wrap up, sort of. So now that I've had time to process all of these books, I hope that like my mini reviews will make some sort of sense. If you want more in-depth reviews on the books that I read, do check out my Goodreads, because that's where I leave more of my longer reviews. I'm gonna list all of the prompts as I go along and what books that I chose to complete those said prompts. First one is to have a book that's not US centric. For that, I read The Stationery Shop. I loved it. I ended up giving it 5 stars. I know earlier I was kind of caught in between giving it a 4 and a 5, but I refuse to give a book rated lower than 5 stars destroy me, and that book destroyed me in the best way. Naturally, I had to give it 5 stars. I don't think its grip on me is gonna let up anytime soon. I have not stopped thinking about it since I finished it. For me, I consider that a really good sign that I really enjoyed a book. Just honestly felt like some sort of time capsule in the way that it was written. It was very indicative of the classic Persian literature, in the sense that the way it depicts love being both beautiful and tragic, being heart-wrenching yet heartwarming. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. This is probably a new staple of mine, I can definitely say, and if you haven't read it yet, please do. It's such a beautiful story, and I can't recommend it enough. It was really good. So for the 2 prompts of having a book featuring an Asian protagonist and also being written in your favorite genre, I chose fantasy for this. For Asian protagonist, I originally had These Violent Delights, and for my favorite genre, I had The Wolf of Oren Yaro. Just for the sake of time, I ended up combining those 2 prompts and having These Violent Delights fulfill those 2 prompts for me. These Violent Delights, I ended up giving it 4 stars. I really enjoyed the fact that we get a very white-centric story in the sense of Romeo and Juliet, and having it revamped and reinvented in the gaze of an author of color featuring an Asian protagonist, and that's just like such a power move to me, and I'm here for it, and I'm so excited for all of the new retellings and reimaginings of classic stories written to feature BIPOC characters. That in itself was just so good, and I was all about it. In regards to why I gave it 4 stars instead of 5, 1, my own personal reading experience. I have been struggling a lot with fantasy books in general. Also, the fact that when I tell you, I freaking adore Juliet and Roma. If you love the classic trope, character A be such a badass, and then have character B be like such a softie. We have a female badass character who tends to have her, morally gray moments, and then we have this male like softie that he's just so precious, and you want to like protect him at all costs, and like the fact that like he struggles between what's right and what he's morally obligated to do because of his role with his gang. It was everything. That's why every time we had a Roma and Juliet interaction, I was obsessed. I would just speed through, but then again, anytime they weren't the forefront of my attention. Like, they weren't the ones that were on the page. I struggled a lot and I was just waiting for them to come back. So for me, that was kind of like what threw me off. And I also love the fact that it was very much a lovers to enemies to lovers back to enemies situation, which that was just wild. The reason why, again, this was a 4-star is because I didn't find myself truly invested until maybe the last 25%. That's when the stakes started like exponentially increasing, in my opinion, and I felt like last 25% was the best of the whole book. I am really excited for a sequel, and yeah, that's just kind of like how I felt about these Violent Delights. Like I said, all of these books are supposed to be written by Asian authors of different ethnicities, but this particular prompt was just to read a book by an Asian author, which 2 books that I previously mentioned do hit this category, but just because I was also reading this, it kind of like hits this prompt. So originally I had Counting Down with You for this prompt, but again, because of time and I was already reading this, I just went ahead and replaced it with Attack on Titan. It is written by a Japanese author. Attack on Titan, what to say, it was so sad. I feel like it was a very satisfactory conclusion to this story. Doesn't really mean that it was happy sunshine, but it was something that was very realistic given the circumstances. In my book, that's what made it satisfying. Thankfully for my goldfish memory, whenever this gets animated next year, I would have forgotten what has happened, so I'll just like relive everything that happened. And it was also like getting to be really complicated as well, that like a lot of these big things were just going over my head, so I was just vibing. I was just letting things happen to me. Again, I think it was a warranted conclusion to that story. And for the final prompt, it was to read a nonfiction book. Crying in H-Mart. This book is not for the faint of heart. I say that because this was such a raw reminiscence of losing a mother, and it was punctuated by the quiet grieving that's very indicative of Asian culture. And with that being said, I find it very strange and difficult to rate someone's personal healing process and emotions in regard to that situation. With that being said, my rating can only be indicative of my personal reading experience, and to say this book did a number on me, like I said, I almost ugly cried I don't know how many times while listening to it, and it's just the fact that I was painting while listening that I did not. It kind of like kept those emotions at bay, but it was a really bittersweet reading experience, but painful nonetheless. But I am glad that I was able to get around to reading this. Yeah, so with that wrap up being done, I probably will not participate in a readathon for the foreseeable future, because as a mood reader, that was a struggle. That concludes my Asian readathon vlog. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you again for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, I would love to have you, and I appreciate it in advance. Also, I have all of my other social medias linked down below. I tend to be a lot more active on Twitter and my Instagram stories. For this readathon, I had asked on my Instagram via poll what you guys wanted to see, if you just wanted to wrap up or a vlog, and you guys voted a vlog. So if you want to help me decide on what content you like to see next, please do follow me on Instagram. That's where I do all of my polls. But yeah, again, I really hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Bye!
It's 5:50 something and I feel empty inside.